So folks, something about this just doesn't sit right with me. You've probably seen the headlines. The shocking claim that Tyler Robinson, just 22 years old, carried out one of the most high-profile political shootings in recent American history. The news came fast, the narrative even faster. But the moment I saw the newly surfaced door cam footage, my stomach dropped. Something wasn't adding up. Here's why. A neighborhood doorbell camera, the kind everyone has these days, captured a man believed to be Tyler walking casually past a home hours before the shooting. Not minutes, hours. He's wearing shorts, a maroon shirt, a backpack. No tactical gear, no rifle case, no signs of someone plotting a rooftop assassination. Yet, according to the official story, this same man somehow reappears later that day in full dark clothing, allegedly executing a precision sniper attack. Why the gap? Why the mismatch? Because here's the thing. Tyler wasn't some hardened extremist or trained killer. He was a quiet, vulnerable young guy. Limited income, no violent record, a reputation among friends as awkward, maybe a little lost, but not dangerous. The kind of person the system overlooks until it needs a villain. Now, if this young man really is innocent, if he's being used as the face of a crime he didn't commit, then what we're witnessing is one of the most devastating cases of framing in modern true crime. And the cost of that is enormous. A family torn apart. A life ruined. A name that may never recover. So in this video, we're going to dig deep. We're going to walk through what the officials claim happened, examine the footage they've shown, and more importantly, the footage they haven't. We'll trace every inconsistency, every unexplained gap, and every moment that makes you stop and say, wait, that doesn't make sense. Because by the end of this video, I want you to see what I see. That the case against Tyler Robinson isn't as airtight as we've been told. That there are cracks, contradictions, and unanswered questions. And that maybe, just maybe, Tyler didn't pull the trigger at all. Because the truth demands more than headlines. And right now, Tyler's innocence deserves a closer look. What's your thought and opinion about this case against Tyler Robinson? Do you really think he is guilty as charged? Tell us in the comments. Here's my take on all of this. And I want to be clear, I'm not dismissing the investigators. They've done impressive work, no doubt. But what feels off isn't the accusation itself. It's the gaps, the mismatches, and the unanswered questions. History shows us similar patterns. In other cases, framed individuals with limited means, young, vulnerable, without resources, are targeted. Physical and digital evidence gets cherry-picked. Surveillance is incomplete. Confessions are sometimes coerced or scripted to fit a narrative. I see echoes of that here. And let's pause to empathize with Tyler. A young man suddenly accused of assassinating a high-profile conservative activist with political overtones swirling everywhere. His background, age, and vulnerable status dramatically increase the stakes. If he is innocent, and there's a real possibility he is, the injustice is catastrophic. I urge that this case deserves independent forensic review. The so-called forearm print evidence is unusual, rare, and not fully reliable. The timeline gaps, the clothing change, the identity issues, all of this must be thoroughly addressed. We need to ask ourselves, are we treating Tyler as the shooter simply because the pieces that support that narrative were released first, while the inconvenient ones remain hidden? After reviewing the evidence, the inconsistencies, and the behavioral analysis, I lean toward the possibility that Tyler may have been framed or used as a scapegoat. Not because I doubt law enforcement's intent, but because the publicly available evidence leaves too many holes to confidently declare him the sole actor. And the questions that remain are vital. Who benefits from this version of events? What pressures exist to close this case quickly? And are ideological motives clouding the objective pursuit of truth? The answers, or the lack of them, could determine whether justice is truly being served. When you start looking past the headlines and into who Tyler Robinson actually is, the profile just doesn't match the picture authorities are painting. Tyler was 22, an electrical apprentice, still figuring out his life, with no known criminal history beyond the ordinary mistakes of youth. He wasn't trained military, not law enforcement, not even an avid hunter by record. On the surface, he simply doesn't fit the seasoned sniper assassin archetype that the official narrative implies. And behaviorally, that's critical. Because a high-stakes, long-range assassination like this would require planning, reconnaissance, timing, and precision. These aren't impulsive acts, they're methodical. You'd expect to see signs of that in the suspect's prior movements, scouting locations, mapping escape routes, at the very least, displaying caution. But what do we have instead? That door cam footage from early morning, showing someone who looks like Tyler just walking calmly through a neighborhood, in shorts and a maroon t-shirt, carrying a small backpack. That's not the demeanor of someone about to carry out one of the most politically charged shootings of the decade. That's someone heading to class, to work, or maybe out for coffee. And that gait, the stiff right leg that police highlighted in their affidavit. According to Deseret News, the suspect in the campus footage walked with a restricted bend in the knee. Now, if Tyler doesn't actually have that physical characteristic, or if no one close to him has ever mentioned such a limp, what does that say about the footage? Could it mean that the person captured in those later images isn't Tyler at all? Then there's the so-called confession texts, those messages that supposedly came from his phone, reading almost like lines from a movie. I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk. I'm sorry I involved you. Boastful, dramatic, romanticized. But if you study patterns in false confession or framing cases, that's exactly what you often find. A script, carefully worded to fit the public narrative, not the genuine voice of the accused. In real-world false flag or misidentification cases, it's common to see the framed individual lack motive, opportunity, or resources, while the real orchestrators feed a convenient story to the press. Tyler was young, isolated, not well-connected, the perfect candidate to shoulder blame, while the true perpetrator fades into the background. And this claim of radicalization, authorities emphasize Tyler's supposed political leanings and gaming culture as clues to motive. But is that real psychology, or a post hoc construction designed to make him look like a villain? We've seen this before. Personality traits exaggerated, hobbies twisted into signs of danger, all to justify an arrest that may not hold up under real scrutiny. Even Tyler's behavior after being identified doesn't fit the pattern of guilt. A guilty person might run, destroy evidence, or lash out. Tyler didn't. He surrendered after his own father recognized him, a heartbreaking act that shows vulnerability, not defiance. He made no public declaration of motive, no manifesto, no gloating statement. Yet somehow the official story still insists on describing him as ideologically driven. Why force a motive that doesn't exist? And what about that backpack? The small one seen in the door cam footage versus the larger, darker pack later. If this was a precision operation, why would a supposed sniper lug extra weight and draw attention? Or was that visual difference part of a setup? Something to make him recognizable in footage while someone else carried out the act? Look again at the door cam clip from 8 a.m. Calm, casual, ordinary. That's not how a person behaves hours before an alleged assassination. There's a disconnect between what we see and what we're being told. Either the footage we've been shown isn't Tyler, or the story around it is incomplete. The more you analyze his behavior, his calmness, his lack of motive, his inconsistent physical traits, the clearer it becomes. Tyler Robinson doesn't fit the psychological or behavioral mold of a killer. The evidence points not to guilt, but to vulnerability, the kind that can be exploited. And that opens a very real, very disturbing possibility, that Tyler wasn't acting as a shooter that day. He was being used as one. A name, a face, and a background easy to manipulate. The perfect frame. At this point in the investigation, three main theories have emerged, and while one of them is the official version, the others might hold the key to what really happened that day. Let's start with Theory A, the one authorities and most major outlets have embraced, that Tyler Robinson acted alone. According to the Times of India and several other sources, investigators found digital messages supposedly referencing a rifle, customized engravings on bullet casings, and even online comments hinting at a political motive. On paper, it's a neat case. A single shooter, a known weapon, incriminating texts, everything tied up in a bow. But the moment you put that narrative under a microscope, it starts to unravel. The timeline doesn't match. The attire doesn't match. The door cam footage that shows a man hours earlier, dressed differently, acting casually, just doesn't fit into the lone wolf narrative. And those key pieces of surveillance, the stairwell footage, the rooftop approach, the escape route, have never been released in full. When crucial evidence is kept from public view, it's hard to take the word conclusive seriously. Now let's look at Theory B, that Tyler Robinson was framed or set up as the fall guy. This one, honestly, explains more than the official version does. It's entirely possible that someone else used his car, or that the man seen on that door cam early in the morning wasn't Tyler at all. Maybe the footage was misidentified. Maybe it was manipulated. The camera angle, the lighting, the distance, all of that can distort identity. Then we have the bigger issue: suppressed footage. Reports from the Economic Times reference claims that additional video exists, possibly showing a woman with the shooter in the moments before the attack. But that footage has never been made public. If that's true, it completely blows apart the acted alone theory. And yet, it's been quietly brushed aside. So why frame Tyler? Think about his profile. Young, quiet, financially limited, with a background in tech and gaming. The kind of person who can easily be painted as unstable or politically radical, even if he's not. To people looking for a convenient scapegoat, someone whose digital footprint can be twisted into motive, he's perfect. He's the ideal fall guy, vulnerable, misunderstood, and easy to control. Then there's Theory C, that Tyler may have been involved in some way, but wasn't alone. Sources like The Sun have reported about footage showing a man on a phone just minutes after the shooting, pacing near a neighborhood door cam. A man who hasn't been identified or charged. That alone raises the possibility that Tyler wasn't the mastermind, but part of a larger operation. Or worse, someone being used without realizing it. The problem is, no accomplices have been officially charged, and law enforcement continues to insist that he acted solo. But if there was even one other person, one hidden player in this story, it changes everything about motive, method, and guilt. So let's weigh them. The official story looks tidy, but the details crumble under scrutiny. The framing theory, given the timeline mismatch, the clothing differences, and the rumors of withheld footage, fits the evidence far more neatly. And the accomplice theory keeps the door open to a broader plot, one we've only glimpsed the surface of. Now, to be clear, none of this is proven, not yet, but it's absolutely possible that Tyler Robinson was set up. It's possible that someone else used his name, his car, or his digital accounts. It's possible that the most critical footage, the parts that could clear him, are the ones being kept out of sight. And if that's the case, the tragedy of this story isn't just the loss of one life, it's the destruction of another. So keep your mind open, don't take the headlines at face value, because in cases like this, truth isn't found in what they show you, it's hidden in what they choose to leave out. Now let's dig into the evidence, because this is where the cracks in the official story start to show. The first big piece everyone's talking about is the door cam footage. Early that morning, around 8:07 a.m., a home security camera captured a gray Dodge Challenger rolling quietly past a suburban neighborhood not far from Utah Valley University. According to reports from TMZ and 7 News, that car belonged to Tyler Robinson. Moments later, the same camera picks up a man walking by on foot. He's dressed casually, maroon t-shirt, shorts, a small backpack. He doesn't look rushed, nervous, or like someone preparing to commit a high-profile political assassination. He's just walking, ordinary, calm. And what about that 3-hour gap between 8:07 and 11:50? Where was he? Who was he with? If this was a planned attack, why was his car seen wandering a neighborhood early that morning, far from the supposed staging area? Even more puzzling, People.com confirmed that the door cam captured the Challenger again around 8:23 a.m., heading back down the street. So, if the car was there then, what was Tyler doing for the next 3 hours before the shooting? Did he return home? Did someone else take his vehicle? Remember, the shot itself was fired around 12:23 p.m. That's nearly 4 hours after the first door cam sighting. Then there's the forensic angle. Investigators claim to have found forearm prints and gravel impressions on the rooftop consistent with someone lying prone to take a shot. But forensic experts, even those quoted by CNBC, note that forearm prints aren't unique identifiers. They're impressions, not fingerprints. They can be distorted by light, pressure, or even the surface texture. So how reliable are they really? And those so-called text messages found on a roommate's phone, the ones allegedly from Tyler saying he had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and that he'd keep it secret? iHeartRadio's coverage highlighted those too, but the tone of the messages feels almost rehearsed, scripted even, like someone wanted to make sure they sounded incriminating enough to fit the story. Now here's what I can't shake. Could Tyler's early morning appearance in shorts and a maroon shirt actually point to someone else using his car, or even impersonating him later that day? Why has the full door cam clip not been released? Just stills and fragments. Why has no one shown the stairwell footage or rooftop entry video that supposedly tracks his every move? And if he truly planned a sniper attack, why linger for hours, leaving such an obvious trail? Because on the surface, yes, the evidence looks convincing. The timelines, the digital trail, the car, the rifle. But once you start connecting the dots yourself, that clean line the authorities drew starts to wobble. And in that wobble lies the real possibility that Tyler Robinson wasn't the shooter at all, but the easiest person to blame. So now, let's get to the heart of it, the questions that haven't been answered. First, the doorcam footage. We've seen snippets, but why hasn't the full video been released? With clear timestamps, the car's license plate, or a close-up of the backpack? If Tyler was truly the shooter, every frame should be scrutinized. So why the secrecy? Then there's the timeline gap. Between roughly 8:30 a.m. and 11:50 a.m., Tyler seemingly vanishes from the record. Where was he during those hours? What was he doing? And if he did change clothes, from a maroon t-shirt and shorts to a dark long-sleeve shirt and jeans, where and when did that happen? The affidavit mentions a stiff right leg. But is that really Tyler's gait? Has anyone verified his medical or physical history to confirm he could walk exactly like that? Or could that detail point to someone else entirely? And then there's the alleged woman seen with the shooter, mentioned in some reports from the Economic Times. Who is she? What role did she play? Why has her footage been withheld? We also need to ask, who benefits if Tyler was framed? Could ideological motives be at play? Could there be shadowy actors pulling strings behind the scenes? And finally, the campus surveillance videos. Stairwells, tunnels, rooftop access. If he acted alone as claimed, these should show the full path. Yet these critical pieces haven't been independently analyzed or released. Why not? When you add all of this together, the unanswered questions weigh heavily. Because if Tyler Robinson is innocent, it's not just a question of misidentification. It's a young man's life destroyed while the real perpetrator walks free. And that, folks, is the part that really doesn't sit right. According to reports, here's what the official story says happened. It was September 10th, 2025, a warm afternoon at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Conservative commentator Charlie Kirk was speaking outdoors to a crowd of students and supporters. At approximately 12:23 p.m., a single shot rang out. Chaos. Panic. Kirk fell, struck in the neck. Within minutes, campus police and SWAT teams were on the scene. Authorities claim they quickly zeroed in on a suspect, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. They say campus surveillance showed him arriving around 11:52 a.m., moving through stairwells, heading toward a rooftop overlooking the event. Investigators allege that from that position, he fired a single round from a bolt-action rifle, then disappeared into the nearby woods. Police and federal agents later stated that a rifle was recovered not far from the scene, a weapon allegedly matched to the bullet found at the site. They say bullet casings were engraved with markings tied to online messages sent from an account believed to be Tyler's. Digital communications, chat logs, and even the make of his car, a gray Dodge Challenger, were all cited as key evidence linking him to the shooting. By that evening, major networks like CNBC, ABC, and the Times of India were repeating the same core points. A lone gunman, clear motive, digital trail, case closed. Court filings would later use the phrase probable cause to justify his arrest, stating flatly that Tyler Robinson acted alone. And that's the story most of the public heard. A clean, decisive timeline. A young man turned political assassin. But here's where we need to slow down. Because for something this serious, the puzzle pieces need to fit perfectly. And right now, even in the official version, they don't. So let's take a closer look at the evidence itself. The videos, the timestamps, and the moments that make this story wobble. Because once we line them up, the picture starts to change. And not in the way investigators want you to believe. Tyler Robinson's life, his future, his freedom, all possibly on the line. If he is innocent, then the real shooter walks free, while a young man's entire world is torn apart. That alone demands our attention. So I want to hear from you. Do you think the evidence points to something bigger? Do you believe Tyler is truly the shooter, or that he was set up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you see in the footage, the timeline, the inconsistencies. And if you found this deep dive useful, please like and subscribe. Cases like this need more eyes, more critical thinking, and more people asking the hard questions. Because in true crime, the truth never dies.